Hello and welcome back to Proactive New York. I'm Christine Corrado. With me right now is Nader Pourhassan, CEO at CytoDyn's. Nader, great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day and thank you for having me.
Nader, a lot to get to today. First off, you announced positive coronavirus clinical trial results on your shareholders call meeting yesterday. However, a report came out from a healthcare publication called STAT suggesting that your description of CytoDyn's leronlimab data points hasn't met its goal in treating coronavirus patients. What's your response to that?
So our goal is to create data that FDA gets to see and have FDA make a decision on those. We don't pay attention to this kind of false report usually, but we are an OTC company and we have an obligation to refute statements that are incorrect. So I'm forced to address this. So I have some statement to go over for our shareholders and everybody who's interested. Mr. Friston wrote a report today, and he's some background about him is he represents himself as a member of the media. He works for a website called Stat News. Stat News significance is to cover health news, but Stat News and Friston in particular have been accused of using the website as a platform to provide information designed to impact the stock market. For example, in April 2020, Mr. Friston printed an article without permission from Gilead entitled "Early Peak of Data on Gilead Coronavirus Drugs Suggests Patients Are Responding to Treatment." Gilead shares jumped immediately, and the chair of House Ways and Means Health Subcommittee, Texas Democrat Representative Lloyd Doggett, called for an investigation of STAT, stating, "Providing information that's designed to impact the stock market is not something that is permitted under federal security law." I can provide everyone with the CNN coverage, the link for that if they want. Mr. Friston has reached out to our members of CytoDyn's scientific advisory members and questioned them about their compensation to make them feel uncomfortable. This is a war against CytoDyn, perhaps. Mr. Friston has published several negative articles about CytoDyn since March of this year, and company's stock price temporarily dropped each time. On Twitter, where he refers to himself as the Night King of Biotech, he has also published provocative tweets about CytoDyn, referring to it as wretched, incompetent company, hilariously insane, and a stock pumping circus, and accused me of fraud. We wanted you to be aware of Friston's and Stat News because we have concerns that they seek to impact our stock price by publishing negative statements. We regularly monitor Mr. Friston's statements because we have an obligation to correct any false statement of fact if he makes them, although typically he frames his statement as opinions which are harder for us to act on. If you hear from Mr. Friston, we would appreciate you let our general counsel know so that we can continue to monitor his situation. Again, Mr. Friston uses manipulation, distortion. He's master of distortion. He says things that are incredible. For example, in his article, he refers to me and the chairman of the board cashing in on $12 million for me, $3 million for Scott Kelly. I addressed this. After 11 years of being an executive, we never exercised any options. When we did that, $7 million went for taxes. It hurt us. The stock price was very low in that time. And since we sold, the stock went to all the way at $9. Even today, with all these war that they bring against us, the stock is well above what we sold. And we helped the company, and we explain all of that in the public domain. Another way of distorting news and taking us away from what this molecule does. It binds to CCR5, our molecule, and it doesn't change that. Whether I sell share or I don't, whether I look good or I look bad, or if I'm not a good person or a bad person, it still binds to CCR5, and they have to deal with that.
There's maybe two things that I want to address that were in the report that hopefully we go over. The first is that he said that CytoDyn claimed that after 3 days, the drug improved symptoms, not the 14 days set in the study's endpoint. And then the second thing I wanted to address is that CytoDyn's primary efficacy goal of the study measured clinical improvement across 4 symptoms that he says are relatively weak. So maybe you can kind of address those 2 points.
Yeah, so he doesn't listen to people when they talk. He asked me for interview in the past and I gave it to him. And then he manipulated everything I said. So I decided that if he wants to talk to me, it has to be in a public domain in front of everybody so everybody can make their own decision about what we said. What we said yesterday was very clear. We have a product that has shown very strong results. Remdesivir had only 4-day better data than placebo as a release in a hospital. So it wasn't like changing the death. It didn't have any impact on mortality. So we don't go after them. We say congratulations to them because they're doing something for us humans to fight this terrible disease. Today, we have to all look for positive things that any drug can do and be united. And what we have right now, we said that there is something that we reported called NEWS, NEWS2. That's an assessment of the heart rate and blood pressure and all of those. And we had a very positive results for that. We think we had a jackpot with that. And the p-value, we haven't talked about it, but hopefully we will give that very significant p-value, hopefully very soon to everybody in that regards. In regards to phase 2, this is not a primary endpoint hit or miss. Ask anybody in this world, ask FDA. Phase 3 is where it's do or die. Phase 2, you're trying to find anything that works for this product, for this disease. And that's why you have 16 or 17 secondary endpoints. And if we say, hey, we found out that we can actually, for example, lower the blood pressure. We didn't do that, but I'm just saying, for example, if we do, that's a positive thing. The FDA won't come back usually and say, okay, you can't help the headache, but you help the blood pressure and you stop people from dying. But it's not going to work because you don't help them cough less. This person is just manipulating, and our result was extremely well in regards to serious adverse event, and in regards to NEWS2 that I explained yesterday was extremely well. And we also have, in the first 3 days, we are impacted and better than placebo, and most of the patients get better within 4 to 7 days, if not 14 days. Nobody goes for this population because it's the toughest population to show any improvement, and we have shown that. So we are excited, and I hope that Mr. Freston gets over his problems and starts looking at the fact and tell the truth. It's a very good thing to tell the truth. It makes a person feel great. I really suggest that to him.
Okay, so you're saying the results that were positive that were shared at your meeting yesterday. So what are the next steps here?
Well, the next step is next week, Monday, we are looking at the mortality rate. Now, Mr. Freston cannot come back and say, well, you just saved 20 lives. That's not good enough. Any life is important. We hope to be able to show that, and we hope to have our top line report for CD10 and go to FDA. And we're not saying FDA is going to give approval for CD10. Worst case scenario is the FDA would say do a phase 3 and pen down those qualities. But we're hoping that because of the pandemic, it's unmet medical need, we get approval for both. But that's our hope. But let's see what FDA has to say when they see the results.
Yes, only time will tell. Only the FDA can tell. Nader,
exactly.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.